Hello, everyone. I am super excited today to introduce you to Kat from KatFit. Now, I used to work with KatFit in the cat, about 8 years ago or so. I worked with her on some personal training. And why I wanted to have her here with us today is because I've been hearing this a lot, especially now. I want to say, sort of even more so post pandemic, Kat, is that educators, parents, and caregivers, and I know you know this because we used to bond over being exhausted moms back then, but they're coming home and the words I keep hearing is drowning, exhausted. Like it's too much. Their health is in basically spiraling downwards. So I want to talk to you to give us some ideas. What are some quick, easy ways that we can get moving and boost our energy? So to get started, let's hear more from you and your background, your work, and your passion, because you've grown a lot. When we worked together 8 years ago, we were together here in Boston, and you moved down to Pennsylvania after that, and you've been growing your online business, working with educators and parents and caregivers. So let's just tell me about your background and get us up to now.
Sure, absolutely. So my background. So I started in actually college track and field and segued into personal training because of burnout. It was 100% work, 100% at home, and 0% to myself. And I loved coaching. Never saw myself leaving the career, but I was so burnt out. And really, what I discovered was my passion was for coaching, but for helping, a person go beyond the preconceived notion that's their limits, and really helping them find their true wellness, find or fall back in love and feel good at living at home in their body.
Mm.
So from there, really started to kind of focus primarily on women's fitness as someone who knows, unfortunately, multiple times what it's like to be burnt out, as well as then going through pregnancy twice, how to get to know your body again and feel comfortable living in your body and trusting your body, going through that stages. And then now that my kids are older, it's so shocking that one's in middle school and one's almost out of elementary school. That constant battle to keep yourself a priority and
Mhm.
how to mitigate some of that stress around it and feel good moving your body. So it's one of the things that I do with clients is a lot of the stuff that I have taught myself, and I'm so authentic with them and how I live my life and openly share with them that, there's no balance, but we can dive more into that.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. And I want to highlight a few things there. What my experience, because I was at my wit's end when we got in touch 8 years ago, that I had worked briefly with a personal trainer at a gym and it just wasn't the right fit. Like, I'm not really a gym goer. I'm a yogi, right? So I much prefer to be in a studio. But working with you, one of the things that really stood out to me and what you're talking about is that you were really empathetic about my position of burnout and feeling exhausted as a mom. And I feel like we could bond that. So it's a real personal interaction. I think the thinking about ways to boost ourselves, I mean, everybody's got a personal journey, but want to highlight that thing is finding your people, finding the people that you can click with or you connect with. And another thing, I love your holistic point of view. I mean, at that time, I was saying the yoga practice is really important to me, and you helped me integrate those pieces in it. So it wasn't just like you have to do these things, but you looked at what's doable in my life and made it accessible, right? And so I
yeah.
think those things are really super important. Is that it has to be something that can fit into our schedules, right? So we can make it work, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. And what are you finding now? What are you finding are the challenges, for example, working with your clients, these moms? Why are they not able to create these consistent, regular fitness and food programs, for example?
Yeah, oh, and that's such a great question. Primarily what I see, dare I say, from behind my desk, is overwhelm in the sense of decision fatigue.
Yes.
And when it gets to you, it's exhausting. You've already
Mm,
expired all that capacity to make
mm,
decisions. And you're just done. So
Mm,
I would say all my clients are absolutely brilliant. And,
mhm,
wherever, their career is, whether they, the CEO of home to, corner office in corporate America or entrepreneur, wherever they fall in between, you are making so many decisions. And when it comes to yourself, it's tough in the moment. It's
mm,
easier to be kinder to your future self than it is to your present self. And so that's where I love to come in and work my magic and helping them break down some of the stigma of that is taught to us, especially surrounding fitness and nutrition, is if it's not
mm,
perfect, you're never going to see success. And regardless if we know we have it, we're seeking perfection with it. Well, I want to get 40 minutes in and I only have 5, or the capacity to do for 5 minutes. Um,
mm,
and then it's like, well, I might as well not do anything. Or as oftentimes life gets lifey, and I always kind of joke the journey of a mom through the house is many different stops with like 10 questions along the way. And
mm,
so even if you are dressed and ready for a workout, something comes up and derails you. And that guilt and shame that we feel, I kind of help erase that. So I find it's a lot of reorganization and finding that pocket of time so that they can work it into their schedule, or, helping design a program that works with them. And to your earlier point is looking at the whole person so that
mm,
they get the yoga, the whatever, workout. Maybe it's a group walk with friends. Maybe it's, I'll schedule in 5 minutes of just sitting down and maybe feeling the sun on your face, because
mm.
that's all part of your wellness. That's part of fitness. That's part of who you are, and it's not simply picking up a weight and putting it down. That's great. We want that in there, but we want to mitigate the stress. So the work that we're doing in a gym, whatever that looks like to you, is effective, versus just being so overwhelmed and not really getting the full capacity out of it.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, Cuz it's so great. So for everyone watching this, you got to know you're not alone. You are not alone, and anything and everything you're doing is amazing. And we need to give ourselves permission, right? As women, we are so hard on ourselves. As you say, the guilt and the shame it's not enough. Like it's not enough, right? And so you're saying, so it reminds me in the Ayurveda, the sister science of yoga is Ayurveda, and there's doshas. So there's a suggestion that humans are made up of 3 different body types. So we have pitta, kapha, and vata. So the pitta types, I imagine you might be sort of a pitta type, that they're go-getters, they're determined, they've got big goals. And for them, it's like in fitness, it's running marathons, right? It's like all or nothing. I see that with my husband. Unless it's like a 2-hour bike ride, he doesn't want to do it. Unless he's training for a 100-kilometer ride, he doesn't want to do it. And the same for another mom hereby. So she does marathons or she doesn't do anything. And so there's a lot of, for that type of person, it's really hard because they don't want to do 5-10 minutes here. They can only in their mind think all or nothing, right? And then you've got the kapha types who are generally just slower, easier, more laid back, and they're quite happy, watching Netflix or whatever. That's just their body type. And so for them, it's just that inertia of, what's going to serve me? Is it enough to just go for a walk? Yes. Right. And so giving themselves permission to find the slowness of the exercise. It's still with the fresh air and being outside or whatever that may be, right? And then the Vata types, which are like me, or like fast talkers, super creative, super airy, So for us, it's not about running marathons necessarily, but it's about, the moderation. So being able to moderate, it doesn't have to be sprinting every single day like maybe a pitta would need. Does that all kind of make sense? So what you're saying, it feeds into that, is knowing what works for your body.
Exactly, exactly. And that's where I love learning about the client. And so for someone who is that go-getter where it is very all or nothing, I program for the least amount of time. And then they know they can do more because they know, I have a few clients like this where it is, if they can't get the full 40-minute done, they're not going to do it. And they
Right.
are brilliant individuals, but that's how their mind works. That's how, so that's where I create that program so that
Mhm.
they're set up for success. And that's the whole, part of the passion behind it is I want my clients to succeed. So when I put the plan in place, it's specifically with them in mind, and they're always in the driver's seat. So I always say there's no falling behind. There's no guilt for missing, and I totally understand things come up. If we need to push a week for workouts, cool. Totally fine. Nothing
Right.
is going to be lost. It works with you. And the more we work with ourselves, our body, and our life, the more we're going to get out of it, and the less those shoulds are going to be popping in. They might still be there, but they won't be amplified when we're working with our body and working with, what life throws at us. But they'll kind of be more subtle and quieter, and you'll be able to take action more because you're coming from a place of compassion and that enoughness versus a place of lesser than or guilt or shame.
Mm, right. Oh, I love this. So what would you say then to put this kind of all together? What would you say is sort of your recommendation for this sort of magic formula of putting together these quick and easy? Doesn't have to, we'll talk later about your coaching program, but for teachers and mothers that just need like little quick and easy things during the day, what's sort of your recommendation to get it going?
Yeah, that's a good one. Really, I think it's just, and I will kind of interject what I used as a mantra is, especially in those early stages, no matter if you have littles or when you're just trying to create that momentum of taking action, is, whether it's a 5-minute walk,
Yeah.
just reiterate to yourself, I took action and this is getting me closer to my goal. And even if, for those people who are big achievers, because that is me, one of those things I would follow up with, this step carries me to being able to insert that ultimate goal.
Mm,
Because it's that reframing and bringing it back to that you are enough where you're at, and where you're at is okay, because it allows you to be safe there versus feeling like, I need to do more, or, this doesn't count. It gives it credit for that action and going from there. So, looking at, exercise snacks where it's like 2 minutes here, 3 minutes here. And it doesn't mean every spare moment is an exercise moment, but maybe it's checking in with yourself in that time to be like, hey, what is my body telling me? Do I need to move
mm.
my body? Do I need to just lay on the ground and breathe? And know that those actions are getting you, and are, maybe it's not the way you want to move your body and work out, but they are building placeholders of that consistency so that you have that there when you're able to add more, whether it be an energy capacity thing or scheduling to get to, a gym or whatever you want to incorporate.
Oh, I love that because in yoga practice, generally at the beginning, we always say, set your intention. I love that coming back to that, the simplicity of why are you doing this? And we talk about this, right? Our why and our passion. So for me, what drives me is to feel good, right? That's it, to feel good. And I know that when I do the thing my routine, I feel amazing after. And if I don't do it, I won't feel good. So for me, that's my driver, right? Whereas, someone like yourself that like even teachers, I get that there's not a lot of time, or for parents or moms that even working towards a marathon, I'm just going to run my 1 mile today because that's stepping me forward to do my marathon or my 5K or whatever, or be great at tennis or hiking this mountain next summer or whatever it is for a specific goal. I love that, setting your intention, right? That totally makes sense.
Yeah, it definitely, and it's one that allows for you, once you do that, you diffuse a lot of the shoulds and
Yeah,
the like,
right.
those, that negativeness that can crop up that you're just
Yeah.
not enough. And I don't know, it's one that I definitely incorporate with my clients. And at first they're like, well, I don't see how that's going to help. And then they're like, oh, I feel better after it.
Yeah.
After,
Yes.
you kind of call it out and you bring it back, it's you
Right.
taking ownership of that movement and
Right.
what you're doing. So,
Right. And it's the same like practicing yoga, right? And I know
mhm.
you've practiced it too, but it's not always the first class you go to that you have that magic moment, but it may be a number of classes and then you have that special moment. It may be in Shavasana or whatever at the end, and then you think, oh my goodness, I'm hooked, right? And it's the same thing with fitness. It can take a while to find your groove, and it may not feel like you said, it might not feel great in the beginning to go for a run, and it doesn't feel good. But once you kind of hit that point where it's you've got the routine, you're feeling good, then I feel like you tip over and you think, I actually have to do it. I'm gonna feel awful, so there's different parts of that journey, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's where I say in the beginning, it's not going to feel good. Everything's going to feel
Right,
unnatural. You're going to
right.
fight it. You're going to like, I
Yeah,
kind of say here, our minds are brilliant, but they're
yeah,
also not, and they're engineered to keep us safe. And so when you start to
right.
change and incorporate something new, it's going to be like, nope, we don't like this. We don't want to deal with it. So I
Yeah,
say,
yeah,
imagine like if you've ever had a toddler cranky, or that one student that doesn't want to do it, but once they
right,
come around, you're gonna enjoy it. And and know that it's okay to have not enjoy a workout, but it doesn't mean you don't ever need to do it again. Like, it's
right, right,
okay. Not every workout's gonna be phenomenal. Not
right.
every run or walk is gonna be
So
amazing.
true. Yeah,
And
yeah.
but at the same point, like, if you physically don't feel good, don't keep pushing yourself, you know?
Right, right. And I
So,
think too that they're like you talked about finding those moments in the day. So maybe you already have a meditation practice, or maybe you go out for a mindful walk, but you can multitask. Let's be frank about it, right? Like instead of the morning meditation, you might want to do a moving meditation. So you're outside, still doing your breathing practice, still meditating, still being mindful of your surroundings, but you're moving your body or you're going for a run. So you could incorporate your yoga and mindfulness and meditation practices within your fitness program, so it's not
absolutely.
separate, and if you already have that time carved out, you can add it in there, right? So
Yeah.
we love stories here at Kat, so tell us a story about maybe someone or yourself that had went from those feelings of drowning and exhaustion over to sort of like before and after, instead of what you would normally see on the internet is body shapes and types, but I'm interested in the mind piece of it, is how we help people shift from not feeling great to feeling good.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll use myself because I was mulling over. I'm like, which client should I use? And then I was just like, I didn't want to reveal any intricate details about like clients and that. But so one of the things, and like I said, I'm an open book with clients, and I try and break down some of those barriers or inaccessibility that sometimes I feel fitness creates, or what we see on social media. It just seems very unattainable. Um, so for me, I I went through a lot of this too. And I always kind of say, I'm like, it's not embarrassing, but I'm glad I had this. And it wasn't like, being in the business of being a personal trainer and someone who is like, you know, fitness comes easy, or I've always been a runner and I have been an athlete, um, after my second child, so almost right around the time we were working together, it was a struggle for me to maintain a routine. And there was a couple of factors to that where
Mm,
I didn't feel comfortable in my body at all. Even though I could still do some stuff with ease, everything felt foreign. And so a lot of what we talked about already, I would discredit what I would do. I would hold
mm,
it against myself and create that shame for myself of, how could you let yourself go? You're supposed to be, the role models for your clients. And, a lot of this um, negative self talk that creeped in there, or just being like, you should be working out 6 days a week, you should be doing this, how can you expect a client to do something similar if you can't do it? And it wasn't
mm,
until I started to literally befriend myself, literally
Mm,
sit down beside myself and be like, this isn't working. I'm fighting myself every step of the way. Things that I used to love, like I love lifting weights. That's just who I am. Totally respect not every person enjoys it. I love going for a walk and I love going for a run. I love moving my body. And it was like, how can I do this and feel good? And so what I had to do was get really, really clear on
mm,
where I was at as a physically, where
mm,
I was at mentally with myself, and throw away all the expectations. Now, that seems very black and white, and it wasn't like, okay, now I'm ready to go. It was
yes, right.
then, a year, 2 years of struggling, of,
Mm,
dare I say, starting and then stopping, or starting and struggling to figure that out. um, but what I maintained was, and started where I mentioned before, that mantra of, this is my ultimate goal. For me,
mm,
it was, I wanted to um, run a, start out with a half marathon. I wanted to run a marathon, and then I wanted to see if I could run an ultra marathon. So beyond 26.2 miles. And so it was just like, any moment that I could get, I had to forget about what conventional training said, because that didn't fit into my lifestyle.
mm,
My husband traveled with two, I have at the time had two young kids. And so it was just like,
mm,
okay, if 5 minutes is all I have today, I showed up and gave everything I had. The
mm,
next day, if 20 minutes was all I had, that's all I had today. And I showed up and I gave everything I had in those 20 minutes. Now, that doesn't mean I was out there like dripping in sweat and like peeling myself off the ground after a workout. It was showing up what I had written for that day and doing with the allotment of time I had.
mm,
Um, and so I just stayed really clear and focused on that. And anytime life would throw me a curveball, it was just like, that's okay. We can handle this. And I kept repeating this, if perfection was needed, absolutely no one in this world would succeed, because
mm,
even elite athletes, professional athletes, anyone who makes a living doing this, if perfection was needed, there wouldn't be a lot of success had.
mm,
So it
yeah,
was just embracing the fact that it's not going to look pretty, but I need to
mm,
respect where I'm at and not hold it against me. And kind of from that, now I'm, running. Well, I do cross train, but running 5 days a week and cross train 1 day a week, lifting. My kids are older, so that's a big jump there. I will say that it's a differentiation there. And I finally reached my massive ultimate goal of running 100 miles, and
wow.
it's
Oh my
just,
gosh.
yeah.
Insane.
Yeah,
Insane.
it is an incredible experience too. So,
Oh my goodness.
and it's just that kind of relentless consistency of
Right.
knowing that I was worth it and that I was enough, no matter the amount of time or lack of time. And there are plenty of times, you know, that I'd be like, I'm done. This is taking too long. And it's just like, no, give yourself permission to not have things be okay, to be frustrated in the moment.
Mm,
And, I always tell clients, give yourself permission to walk away from a workout. Like, it is so freeing to leave sets and reps on the table, miles on the trail or on the path.
mm,
If you are genuinely just like, nothing feels good, regardless of the weight
right.
lifted, the times run, walked, etc. If you
Mm,
are feeling in your body that it needs something else, walk away. Let
right. Right.
like, it's
Exactly.
gonna keep you in the game longer. So
Yeah. I just want to highlight because I remember this, when we worked together at that time, we were both sharing about what it was like to parent challenging children. And so part of our exhaustion was, our heads were going crazy about how do we be a best parent to these challenging children. And so we have to remind ourselves that exercise is not like this, right? It can be up and down, not
right.
just in the days, but in the months, in the years. So it can be very up and down. And so I think, like you said, that when you go through these extraordinarily huge times in your life, it's okay to bring it down to literally 5 minutes. And it sounds like you looked at your calendar and you could see, okay, I literally have 5 minutes here, 20 minutes there. So you could do that, look ahead, or it could just be like in the moment, when can I do it? So some quick things that, we can brainstorm is, you could put on, COVID was good for this. Homeschooling, got to know YouTube in terms of, my daughter and I would just search for, 5 minute family routine or whatever, or an exercise. So certainly lots of free classes on YouTube that you could do at home for just a few minutes. Like you said, you go outside, do jumping jacks, go run if you've got a pet or a dog, go run, take a little jog with them, or grab someone in your neighborhood and go for a little talk and walk, or instead of calling someone, that's another way to add it in, right? If you're going to have a call, have it as a walk and talk, right? And so you're doing that or whatever. So it doesn't have to be something totally different. It could be part of what you're already doing, or go to your local tennis outdoor space for free and just hit the ball around with your kiddo or something, right? Yeah. So what advice do you have for people who really struggle with this idea of putting together the fitness and food program? And please tell us more about your coaching program.
Yeah, absolutely. So I would say, the first thing I would say is start with, getting really clear on where you're at. Like, how much can you commit to? I see a lot when I ask clients or people who are looking to work with me, what is your ideal plan? And oftentimes it's the traditional I want to work out 5 days a week or 6 days a week. Right. And, their schedule doesn't permit that, which is totally fine. So it's look at really just be honest with yourself. And if it's 1 day a week, that's neither good or bad. That is meeting yourself exactly where you are. If it's like, yeah, I can actually do 6 days a week, brilliant. But then from there, work in ranges, be adaptable, be flexible. So, to your point, where it is really in the moment of week to week, to month to month, is knowing that there are going to be some great weeks, some low weeks, and just some okay weeks. And that all creates the momentum, the consistency, and the next year you're going to be in a different place. So really get clear and start small. And it's okay if you want to be that person who wants to work out 6 days a week, brilliant. That is great, but start maybe 1 day, make it accessible, give yourself those wins, and that will keep you clued in there. And those are things like when I work with clients is we really work on understanding that, we are all worth our ultimate goals. And I want to see my clients just go beyond what they thought, because it is so cool to push yourself past your limits and be like, I didn't think I could do that, but I bought all in and I did it. Is we really look at the weeks, and I encourage them, schedule out time for yourself. And when I write their workouts, it's with timing options. So we sit down and we look at the unicorn week of everything is just perfect. Everything is this is my ideal week. Right. And then I plan back from there. And then I ask them, like, what is the worst week? Kids get sick, projects pop up, etc. And then we go from there. And then I'm checking in with my clients of like, okay, if we need to throw in and do a week of mobility, yoga, brilliant. That is going to serve you, especially, right now we're in cold and flu season. Right. If kiddos are homesick, or I guess we're coming up on holidays too. That's another thing. We're in November, holidays are coming up. Yes. So it's like, whether or not you travel, like, let's plan for these things so that you're not in the moment seeing a workout. And that's where, I share with clients, I plan like next week we're traveling. I don't have a workout scheduled. It's too much to plan. I don't want to deal with the stress. I'm not scheduling. I'm taking 6 days off. Like, right. If I walk, I walk. I just don't want to deal with it. And they're like, but I'm like, you won't lose anything in 5 or 6 days. And what you'll mentally gain back is the relief of not feeling like you should have or you didn't.
Right.
So
I love it. Oh my goodness. I love it. Thank you so much for joining us today. That's so great. I really hope that people have got some pieces of inspiration and the permission just to do what they can. So how do we find you online?
yeah, absolutely. So I'm primarily on Instagram, and I have two Instagram handles, but the one I'm shifting to is Miles from Her View on Instagram. So that I talk a lot about fitness, but it is just more, you get to see more of the authentic version of myself. I do have a KatFit strength one. That one is being phased out. It's great. I love it. It's what I started with, but it doesn't show a lot of other things that I started this other account from, actually out of burnout, just before 2020. So
Right.
and then you can find me, my website is kat.fit. So yeah, that's the two
Great.
places.
Love, thank you so much, my dear. So great to connect with you. And I hope there's some little nuggets for people watching this interview. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.